Marco.
Sean.
There's a group of organizations that seem to get left behind far too often.
Are they rich ones? Are the rich and big and famous, or the one?
Yeah, the rich, big, and famous
more...
ones. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
No, I think it's the opposite end of the spectrum. That oftentimes the small medium business doesn't have IT, let alone security teams, and they're trying to figure out how do we protect our business. That's even the ones that recognize that they need to protect their business, that they might be prone to some cyber threats that can impact their data, their processes, their customers, and ultimately the bottom line. And where do they go, Marco?
I don't know. They cross their finger and they hope that they're never get in trouble.
No,
where do they go? I think, Sean, where do they go lately? They go to company that realize that that's a business, number one, and that's a need. It's a need for society. Actually, a lot of SMBs are, as they say, the core of the economy of every country, pretty much. They're not the one that shine on the news, but they're the one that run the economy and the society, and they give jobs to their families and the people that are in the community. So for me, that's number one. And luckily, there are companies now that they take care of that. I think we realize that in the industry.
Yeah, exactly. So they do have options for security service providers, managed security providers, IT service providers, and those organizations are the ones that need to take solutions and bring them into the market. Sadly, and I've experienced this for decades now, the big players in the market tend to focus on the rich and famous companies that have tons of cash, and those solutions don't often fit in these small organizations, and they leave these IT service providers and managed service providers with a lot of trouble. And that's where Guardz comes in. And that's why people listening probably wonder, what are we talking about? People watching see Sarah and William on, and we're going to hear from them now. I had the chance to speak to Dor Eisner. We did a quick chat around MSPs and IT service providers and how the Guardz AI-powered unified detection and response platform can help streamline security solutions for this small, medium business environment. And today we get to chat with Sarah Lampert and William Barr because they have the feet on the ground, actually helping these service providers and bring the Guardz product into these small, medium businesses. Sarah, William, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And we're all over the world today, and we're hoping to have a good chat to help our fellow service providers, IT service providers, get a better view of how your team and your solution can help them. Maybe a few words from each of you first about your roles. Maybe kind of describe your connection with the MSP community and IT service provider community. Sarah, we'll start with you.
I actually think it makes more sense to start with William, and then we'll come to me after.
Yeah, I think we can do that. And the reason why she says that is because I am an account executive at Guardz. So I am like kind of the front door for the MSP when they come to Guardz, kind of really understanding their needs and what they're looking for. And then I get to show them and tell them the Guardz story, kind of walk them through the platform, kind of show them all the bells and whistles, all the cool things we're doing, talk to them about some great features that we have going on at Guardz, and then really helping them get rolling and get started with the Guardz solution. And so once that happens, I pass them to Sarah. And the customer success team kind of takes it from there. And just so you guys have it, let me kind of qualify myself a little bit. I have been in the MSP industry for about 5 years now. I started at some of those big name players you talked about earlier, whose name shall not be named. And then I've kind of bounced around a little bit, but I've always been in the MSP space when it comes to tech solutions at the vendor side. And it's so I have a lot of experience in dealt with MSPs from, emerging MSPs that are going from break fix to becoming a managed service seller, to MSPs that are acquiring and, other smaller MSPs and kind of eating up the market. And so I have a little bit of knowledge there. And yeah.
Thanks, William.
What does it mean, Sarah, when they pass them to you? What you do that?
Yeah, so as it usually goes, sales sells them a dream, and I, as the customer success manager, need to make that dream come true, given the parameters and everything that they're dealing with. So we basically help them adopt the platform, make sure everything is working smoothly, and work on strategy. How are they going to grow? How are they going to position Guardz as one of their products in their tech stack to protect their small, medium businesses like we were talking about before?
Well, let's start here. Because, William, you kind of touched on a couple points in terms of who these MSPs are. Mm-hmm. You have small startups that are trying to find their way, right? They probably have some tech background. They probably have some connections in a particular industry or sector. And then you have the larger ones that have been trying to find a way to take a lot of stuff and bring it all together mm-hmm. into these smaller environments, which, by the way, can impact their own business, right? If they don't do that efficiently and effectively. So are you able to paint a picture of some of the MSP space? Where do things sit in terms of who they are, where they focus? Are there segments and things that you see in terms of categories or whatnot?
I think it's so interesting. I think there's so many different ranges and varieties of different types of MSPs. And you have, again, like those that are coming from that break fix model and going into trying to sell managed services. And they're looking for a tool that can, provide them, ease of use, right? Because they're usually a one-man shop. They might have 2 or 3 other people that are technicians on the team. And they're, starting off getting all these smaller clients, and they may try to, go out and acquire a larger, a client of theirs. And it just becomes hard to manage all of that if you have like 4 or 5 different solutions, right? You have 4 or 5 different solutions, and you got to hire new people and train them on all these solutions. And then you got to try to explain it to your new customers that they don't normally understand. They don't understand the technology either. And so you got to explain it to them on why they got to spend that kind of money with you. And most of these guys are smart technicians, engineers, cybersecurity guys. They're not sales guys. They're not marketing guys, right? And so it becomes very hard, and their plate becomes very full really quickly. And so where Guardz, I feel like, kind of fits in for that type of persona is that Guardz simplifies, the amount of solutions they have to figure out and use and manage. Our customer success team helps them with go-to-market type conversations. They get marketing material from Guardz. They don't have to create themselves. And it becomes, when you have a partner like Guardz who is not just, focused on giving you cybersecurity, but it's also focused on the channel and that MSP partner and the success of that MSP partner, we invest and give them the tools necessary for them to grow. Then you have the middle-sized, right? The middle-sized MSPs, we call it the sweet spot, anywhere between 100, users under management to about 1,000, right? Those guys, usually what I'm seeing there is they have bought tools like the big name players we've talked about. They have maybe, they're paying for a SOC, they're outsourcing maybe the cybersecurity. They could be focused on just managed IT, and they're thinking about, starting to sell cybersecurity services themselves, and so what I've noticed is you have different types of MSPs, right? We talk about the MSSP, but there's MSPs that may have a more of a security focus, or you might have MSP that may have more of a, hey, we do backup, we do, we provide you infrastructure, we can get all of your, employees the laptops they need and manage the laptops. But when it comes to security, they don't know anything about security. So there's different branches of the amount of security that they're providing, whether that's from email security or they're outsourcing it to a SOC team. And so those guys, when they come to Guardz and they're looking at Guardz for a solution, they're trying to find a way if there's a tool that's cheaper. It's usually because of the end user and the client. It's usually because they are dealing with a SMB that knows they need security but doesn't have the budget for it, right? And so maybe they had a breach that occurred. Maybe they lost some money, right? And the MSP has kind of maybe built or is trying to find out how to build a security stack that is going to be effective for their clients that are looking for it, right? Or they've purchased, a SOC team, and they're trying to figure out a way that is be more cost effective for the SMB. And so that's kind of where Guardz kind of comes into play. Guardz has created a solution that kind of covers those multiple solutions, but then makes it easy for all that data to be ingested and for us to connect the dots. Kind of like what a SOC does, taking all these different tools and then ingesting the data and figuring out what employees are, having issues where, and then, reporting that back and then remediating the situation, right? Guardz is giving the tool to the MSP to see, okay, how many of my employees are at a high risk level? What alerts are we getting in what areas? And then giving the tool the ability for them to remediate in a single dashboard with a single click of a button, and making it easy for them without having to pay the money for a SOC. SOC means people means salaries, right? And that's where the price gets, high. And then that's where kind of Guardz kind of comes in and saves them $1 or $2, right?
Yeah, I actually want to touch on the price point because that brings up limited resources. And I think the SMB, the end user, of course, money is coming into it being cost effective. But I think limited resources also for the MSP themselves in terms of number of technicians and number of things that they're handling. Anybody who's worked with MSPs knows that half of their day, usually if they don't have the right products, is spent on putting out fires. And so they're looking for a solution that can not only cover all these things and have all in one, but consolidate the time and effort that it takes for them to provide this service to their clients. So I think that's also the angle that Guardz is coming from, not just to the SMB and the end user, but also the MSP themselves. They are strapped for time and cash, and we're trying to really make it easier and appealing and just more manageable, especially because a lot of these smaller, even when they are managing more than 500 endpoints, you'd be surprised how many, it's like 2 guys in a garage figuring it out. So they really need that quick and consolidated, while of course covering all your bases solution.
And to Sarah's point, I had a guy the other day yesterday telling me that he went to go evaluate a solution, and in order to even evaluate that solution, he had to sign a contract to even get onto a demo of that solution. And then to even get pricing for it was expensive, and it was hard to even just manage trying to evaluate it. And he said what he loved about Guardz was he could just go to our website, sign right into the portal, start onboarding clients, right? And then if he wants to talk to somebody, he can, or if he doesn't decide right away, he can use our community license and use Guardz free internally for as long as he wishes. Like Guardz is not like, that ease of ability to evaluate a solution really goes a long way with the MSP community.
Yeah, I think it's.
No, Sarah,
Marco,
I want to get on the idea of the dream, right? Everybody has a different dream. Your job is to keep the dream true. I think in this industry, the dream is not to have nightmares. So it's kind of like, the less nightmares I have, that's a dream. But I think also maybe once they start talking to you guys, they may change their dreams. Maybe they adapt it to the possibilities that shows up when they start seeing, oh, wait a minute, there is actually a solution that is not a Frankenstein's all put together. And it's maybe in somehow turn it on and off, what they need, what they don't. So my question for you, Sarah, is once you're on board, do they adapt to the capabilities that Guardz offer? Do you see this switch sometimes from certain priority to others?
Yeah, I think that in general, them coming to Guardz, they were probably scared to get into. So we have those smaller MSPs who were terrified to get into cyber because they have all of these big enterprise names that are, again, William said, you need to go in, you need to book a demo, you need to jump through all these hoops just to get the pricing. And then that's a nightmare in and of itself. So I think already coming to Guardz, they come with this idea, if they haven't been in the cyberspace before, that, oh, this is something that I can really do. This is a service that I can provide for my customers. And like William said, we give the marketing materials, we help create a plan with them. So I think it really is just making it possible. There are people who come and they just want the solution for, they're switching from another cyber solution to Guardz, and they want it kind of in the same capacity that they were using their previous solution. But there definitely are those people who come and realize the possibilities of getting into the cyberspace. It's not scary. You can also see our UI. It's very friendly. There's no black backgrounds like a lot of these enterprise products. So yeah, I think it's the possibility of making this dream a reality.
Well, it's so many directions we can go here. Let's start with we're an MSP. We provide some of the core business services, right? So servers and CRM and maybe HR and payroll, and we help organizations stand up all those IT things, sometimes on-prem, probably mostly in the cloud for these organizations. How do they find Guardz fits into that mindset of how they're already working with organizations to get all these things in place? Does Guardz fit in nicely to how they already view that world, maybe compared to some of the other offerings out there that may interrupt some of those existing processes, let's say, that they're familiar with?
I would say it actually can enable an MSP to take that customer's environment a step further. So what you mentioned on-prem, Guardz doesn't work environments on-prem today. We don't allow you to, there's no, like, it's not agent-based where you're going to install an agent on a server. And if they're on a hosted Exchange server, like, they're in the prehistoric ages. Like, it's time to wake up, smell the roses, have a cup of coffee. And so this enables the MSP to say, hey, like, let's get you into Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, depending on their poison. And they can, go and say, hey, instead of you looking at an E5 now, because of Guardz, we can go and put you on a business standard. We can, which is a lot cheaper. And then with the Guardz solution, you're going to get all this layered security and save yourself a ton of money than having to jump straight into an E5 and then thinking about backups and thinking about all these other things. And so I feel like when I tell MSPs all the time that are still dealing with the on-premise situation is, Guardz enables you to put them on trial. Let them get a taste of it, right? Show them the reporting, right? Because it's the MSP's job to also be able to communicate to a client, like, hey, this is what we're able to do for you. And it's hard to do that when you're behind a bunch of lights and wires in a server room. And so being able to put, Guardz into an environment and show them the reports that can be generated, it makes the conversation a lot easier, and it opens up like the light bulb effect in the business owner.
Yeah, I think also just to go back to how it fits in with everything is clearly lined out. If you're using the endpoint detection, you can copy the install link or use a script that you can just put straight into your RMM. We have integrations with PSA, ticketing. So it all kind of fits together. It's not supposed to be a separate solution that you kind of figure out how everything else is going to fall in. It's supposed to be more of a seamless platform that you can really just take everything out of it.
Yeah, because Marco made a point basically about being flexible, and I think the larger name brand solution, I don't want to maybe say it that way, but the existing legacy offerings that are out there have been built over years and target the large enterprise, and those enterprise teams, even if they have other organizations that support them from a service provider perspective, they have resources to kind of fit stuff in and tweak the service and tweak their environment to kind of match up. When you get to the smaller medium business and this particular group of MSPs that are trying to serve them, the environments look a lot the same, especially if you're looking at 365 or Google. But the businesses are very different oftentimes. So you need the flexibility, but that flexibility shouldn't come with a cost of complexity, right? Specifically for the MSPs to manage their clients, and then ultimately for the end user who is trying to still run their business, because that's their dream, is just to run their business. So can you speak to the flexibility aspect of Guardz without that, I presume, doesn't introduce a ton of complexity as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
No,
Sarah.
William, you go.
Okay. So yeah, no, I think Guardz, the flexibility of Guardz is that you don't have to activate every control for every end user, right? So you might have a different environment, that is structured differently, but an MSP and I'm noticing this a lot with a lot of MSPs, is they're at a place where they're no longer really allowing the customer to dictate flexibility, like letting the end user dictate, what they're going to take and what they're willing to pay for and where they're willing to have security and where they're willing not to have security. I mean, MSPs are at the point where they're not even taking clients that don't have cyber insurance, right? Like the MSP is smartened up and is taking back control and saying, hey, we're not going to work with you if you're not going to have X, Y, and Z. And so with that being said, I think Guardz is more so trying to equip the MSP and give the MSP the flexibility to turn and turn off controls if necessary, and also give them a user price model versus a device price model, which allows them to really focus on adding it to their stack in a way that kind of makes more sense with the way that they're pricing it out to their SMB. A lot of technology companies today are charging per device, and then they're hard capping them on, you're signing up for this many users. What happens if you lose a client? All right. If you have where's the flexibility in them being able to adjust their contracts? And so what Guardz isn't doing that. Guardz is a bit of a consumption-based model. When I say a bit of, it's because there is a minimum requirement, but that minimum requirement is only based off of what the MSP chooses to help them get to a certain price tier, right? It's not required, right? It's something that's just, hey, if you want to save some money, commit to a higher number, right? But they have the flexibility to go up and down with that because their environments are going to change. Their clients are going to change throughout a year, right? And then not holding them and constricting them to a multi-year agreement. We try to make it a single year, right? And then we tell them, hey, if you do throughout the year, have a big change of a large number of end users that you sign on, like we will renegotiate with you. Talk with Sarah, give Sarah a call. She's happy to work with you, and kind of making it flexible for the MSP in that way.
Yeah, I was going to say more from a product perspective and flexibility. Also, the product itself and the security controls that William was talking about are pretty straightforward and easy to use. Mm-hmm. Basically, the product, depending on different, whichever security controls you're using, you'll get an alert, a detection, and you can respond to that. You can remediate it, different things like that. And you can basically go into whatever depth you're looking for in those issue remediation. So I can see just the top level, suspicious login, that's all I care about, or I can go a little bit deeper. So I think it also provides flexibility in terms of cyber education and vocabulary and things like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually went there because I'm thinking from a business perspective and marketing, right? You said you actually give tools to the MSPs to then go and fund their clients. So Sarah, how the conversation moves when these clients come to you, they like what William said, and then they're like, all right, now that we're here, we understand it's great for us. How do we translate this to actually to grow our business and make a better sales pitch and make a better branding for ourselves? Because I can see, you're not going to go and lie to your other to the other side, your clients, when you're not comfortable with the product that you have. So I feel like having this product, what do you give them? What's the conversation there, and how do you help them grow?
Yeah, definitely. I think that the number one thing that I usually advise my clients is, yes, you're using Guardz, and Guardz is providing you with all of these controls in one place that you didn't have before. But at the end of the day, you're providing your own services. You are selling yourself, and you are selling your cybersecurity protection. And you can use the security controls that Guardz has and all the bells and whistles, like William mentioned earlier, to kind of lure them in. But at the end of the day, you're selling your own services. That being said, we do have things like our prospecting report, which allows you to scan the external domain. And it basically comes up with all the areas of vulnerabilities from an external perspective. So it's non-invasive, anything like that. And I can basically generate that for a lead and then say, after meeting with them, we definitely also don't recommend just sending people the report and hoping to hear back from them. But after making a connection, I can say, look, I'm looking to offer you these cybersecurity services. I'm looking to protect your small, medium business. This is where you stand currently. You can let me know how you feel about that, but I actually have a solution along with other things in my stack that can help remediate those vulnerabilities.
I want to get into some story here. And it's this, when I was talking to Dor about lining this up, I get excited because you get to see and have conversations that are often, I won't say private, but they're certainly confidential in the ways that the information you're hearing and how you can help organizations help MSPs overcome their clients' vulnerabilities, right? That's ultimately what we're trying to do here. So what do some of those conversations sound like? Maybe William, we start with you in terms of an MSP comes to you. Let's say they have a solution that they're currently offering. It's not quite hitting the mark. What does that conversation sound like? What are they trying to overcome? What hurdle is it that they're trying to jump? What gap are they trying to cross over? What's the ultimate goal? Is it they're trying to grow their business, or it's just this current solution is an impact on their team and the bottom line? Let's start there, and then maybe we can get to Sarah and dig a little deeper. But maybe pick a story or two from an MSP that you've spoken with recently that kind of highlights what their challenges are and why they're coming to Guardz to find an option.
Yeah, two actually come to mind right away. Just recently, I had a gentleman comes to look at Guardz, and he's using an email security solution, right? And he's selling it to his clients. He's good, nice, mid-size MSP, covers 750 end users, right? And he has a well-known product, in their environment, but this MSP is getting complaints from his customers about certain emails coming in, and he's getting them forwarded to him, right? And he's looking at them and he's realizing like these are point blank, attempts to hack my end users. Why are these being missed, right? What's going on here? I need to figure out what's going on. And somebody ends up getting their credentials leaked, right? Somebody clicks on it and puts in their credentials, and they're trying to figure out and scrambling to figure out, okay, what's happening? Who's leaked? How do we protect them? Like, what is this environment? Like, what is everything that's connected to this end user? And they're kind of went through a whole scrambling effort. They came to Guardz and was like, hey, and it was really strictly just for email. Like, I'm looking for a solution that, can protect, better than what it is that I'm currently using. Gave them a free trial, said, hey, go ahead and use the Guardz solution. We do things a little differently, and this is how we're doing it. They ran it side by side, and there was a big difference in the amount of protected caught emails from Guardz versus that other email security solution. And at that point, that the MSP was like, well, I get this and I get all these other controls. And it was like this light bulb kind of effect went on. And for the price point of what we're charging him, he thought it was a no-brainer. And so he moved forward with us, and he's one of our champions now. And he's actually even on our one of our advisory boards today at Guardz, offering so much insights and real-time, education for Guardz because of the amount of attempts that are happening across his client base, right? Another one recently, a conversation I had was, gentleman's not a customer yet, but he will be. And he basically came to me because he had a breach, and this breach was different, right? This breach was something that seems to be new in the space, that we're seeing a lot more. And this happened because an end user basically had their device hacked, right? Somebody got into their device. Now, this wasn't a work device or a device that had an agent on, right? This is a home device. This end user logged into their 365 on this device. This device then was able to get access to their 365 and set up, basically they were forwarding conversations, emails that were coming in that had anything to do with customer invoices and paying out money. And they had those conversations forwarded to a hidden folder within the 365 account. So it's not going externally. That end user, that hacker was hiding the emails within the inbox. And so, and then basically, looking and trying to scam them out of a lot of money. So this gentleman came to Guardz and was looking to understand how Guardz is looking to protect and how we're protecting the user level at the 365 level, right, versus the device level, and then how we're even looking at suspicious mailbox rules, how we're looking at suspicious logins, and then how Guardz is going to help protect and remediate them in that way versus what they thought was protection enough by having a device agent on just their work laptops.
And Sarah, to you, once they realize the solution is going to give them more, maybe a little deeper protection, broader protection, let's not forget that a lot of them they're not cybersecurity experts. Your team is, right? And then even further down the line, the end user, customer, less of a security expert. So sending emails and dropping reports and not having communications between the customer, the MSP, and yourselves, can leave a lot of things open for misinterpretation or mismanagement or what have you. So how does when Guardz gets involved and you're working with them to get this all set up and running and operational, how do you help the MSP understand what's going on? Not just have a tool in place and off they go, but a constant connection with you and a constant connection with their customers to kind of make everything work well and to bring confidence that it is actually working well.
Yeah, sure. So I will say there's definitely a range. Again, some people come and they have cybersecurity experience, and while they are not necessarily familiar with Guardz as a platform, they understand the gist. They know all the relevant attack vectors that we are working against, and things like that. And then there are people who, again, are coming, they were sold this dream, and now they're trying to understand what's actually going on. So from our side, we do onboarding with them. I go through the platform. I encourage them to get everybody on trial. That's something that I didn't mention earlier, but every client that they bring on as a trial has a 14-day free trial period. So they can also just play around with the platform. I am somebody who learns from experience, and you can read as many help desk articles as you want, but to actually play around is the most important. And then I ask them how things are going and how it's going selling the solution and their business in general. And if they tell me that they're having trouble, I encourage them to tell me how they're selling themselves, how they're pitching Guardz, and then we can kind of work from there. Again, if I see that they're pitching Guardz as the platform and not their own services, I'll try and reframe that. And we also constantly have webinars on our LinkedIn Live. We're planning now, our customer success team is planning a how to sell Guardz webinar for the beginning of next year, which is very exciting. So we also have continual learning opportunities. And of course, all of my customers can always reach me. We have chat. So there's really no reason that somebody wouldn't be getting the help and support that they need.
Yeah, that's really cool. And how does it go still, you, Sarah? Do you get questions, suggestions, kind of like a suggestion box that while you have this conversation, you figure out that, hey, maybe this is a good idea to implement? So is that a feedback loop that then comes into the product while you're doing this?
Definitely. I am constantly passing along feedback from my customers to our product team. And that goes directly into planning for what's coming up in the next quarter, the next 6 months, and the next year. So definitely that's really important. And I think that's also a strength of entrusting cybersecurity with Guardz, as it is a newer company. And so that means that while our security is advanced and secure, we're also a startup. And so we are flexible in terms of the direction that the product can go and features that we hear that are really necessary for MSPs. So I think that's also definitely a plus, to feel like as a customer, you have a say. And whenever we pre-release things, we have a beta program. And so there's really a lot of communication and I'd say collaboration between our customers and ourselves and the product team.
I love that. I love that. And now the last question, I have to throw it in there. AI. William, I mean, the way that I feel sometimes the big companies, they've been there for a long time. There was a time where, well, you know, we have the market. Who cares, right? I mean, we're doing a good job, good enough. We're retaining the clients. We're doing okay. Now we need to customize. We need to look at the future. And we need to know that this company are not going to come with you. And then 1 year from now, they're going to have to go through the process again and change it because Guardz is not delivering what the future need. So the question AI and a constant development, is there something that help you to make the sell? Because I know you guys offer this. That's why I'm asking.
Let me see if I can try to answer the question specifically directly. I believe we are now in an environment where it's fair game with AI. I think it's important for people to also understand there's two sides to the coin with AI. And I think it's not just about what cool things can you do with AI, but also, how secure are people's data if you're using AI? How secure is your solution when it comes to, using AI? There's two sides to that coin. I think I've had people come to me and ask me, well, I don't want to actually be using AI because that goes to a data center and I don't know what they're doing with that data, and they're sharing data with that solution, and it's like they don't want their data being stolen or sold or being used or being seen by anybody that's using AI. So it's like this need for AI and advancement is also going to create a need for more regulation and security, right, from companies that are going to compete within that space. And so, however, I do believe it is a tool that allows companies to, create more advancements with their solution and connect more dots with their dream. We talk about a dream on this, in this call. And because of AI, I think a lot of dreams are now possible that otherwise wouldn't have been, right? Guardz' goal of showing a MSP, hey, like this is what we're seeing. We're predicting now with AI that this person is high risk and they're likely to get attacked in this way. We're connecting dots that otherwise an MSP would take very long time on their own to manually figure out, right? And so it's such a fine line still. And I think I'm excited to see what's to come of it, right? And not just AI, but this level of like computing, the supercomputing that is occurring in the space. And I'm excited to see what's to come. And I think it opens up for fair game and it's going to be fun to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, sticking with the dream as we kind of wrap up here, and maybe Sarah, this goes to you. Where do you see your partners finding the most success, and how do they measure that success? Do you see growth from multiple MSPs that they come back to you and say, we're able to do 10 times the number of clients because we've streamlined the processes and we're not putting the hair on fire of all of our team members because they're scrambling with a bunch of stuff. Maybe some success stories of what success looks like and how they measure it.
Yeah, sure. I think in general, and this isn't a specific statistic or anything, but I think it is the ease of mind that our customers know that their end users are protected and everything is straightforward for them. I think that is grossly underestimated in terms of the ease of use when you use an all-in-one platform like Guardz. And in general, yes, I think definitely I see clients going after a bigger clientele and trying to really build their business. And I've definitely seen clients who are now moving out of the space and moving into further than just an MSP. So I think it's both expansion, but I think it's also a confidence in knowing that you are providing your customers with the best solution for them and for their wallets and everything like that. I think that's the number one thing.
Don't.
So let me, go ahead, Marco, do you have something?
No, I was going to say very cool.
Yeah, that is cool. So the final question here, we always have one more. Marco likes one more. So we've been speaking to the MSP community, IT service provider community here, talking through the value of Guardz within their environment to help them protect their customers. We also have end customers that listen to this show. So what do you tell them in terms of working with a Guardz-enabled MSP? Can they come to you and find a service provider that will help them get a solution that is Guardz-enabled, or can they ask their current MSP to work with your team? How does that look?
Yeah, I'd say all of the above. They can reach out directly, and if an SMB reaches out to us and they're interested, we can pair them with one of our Guardz certified partners. And then also if they tell their MSP, I guess that's probably even better for all sides. And then our MSP can come through. They'll probably talk to William or another member of our account executive team. But definitely, if they're interested, they should reach out. Don't be scared. We'll find a way.
There is a way, and it sounds like it's the Guardz way to streamline and unify and simplify and maintain that flexibility, so we can do what we dream about, which is run our business. And
you can test this dream without having to sign a contract that may turn into a nightmare. So I like that part, right, William?
I do want to throw one thing out there we haven't really got to touch base on about Guardz, and I think this is just one shameless plug, right? If you are using Guardz, and if your end user is using Guardz, and they are Guardz, covered, you'll also notice a business get an insurance threshold score. As that business gets more coverage, you are meeting issues for them, we see that score get to a certain point in that threshold, they can qualify for cyber insurance through Guardz. We are approved in most states in America, right? And so if you go through that process, we make it easier for your end user to be qualified. We cover from $500,000 up to $3 million in coverage, and it's our premiums are pretty affordable. Anywhere between $900 to $1,700 annually is what we're seeing. So we just make it so much easier for the MSP to get their end users cyber insurance, and I think that's something I didn't want to not share with the team today.
That sounds like a whole conversation.
It's a whole other conversation.
We don't have time for that, but so by the way, you're buying this, you're also getting an entire other product that maybe you would have just bought that.
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
Right. I think
we'll talk about that one day.
I think it demonstrates the maturity of your team and the idea that you're here to help raise the bar across the board. And cyber insurance is certainly a piece of that puzzle to raise those tides. So, well, with that, I want to thank you, Sarah and William, for joining us today. Of course, MSPs have their own views and stories, and I encourage everybody listening in that world to connect with Sarah and William and see how Guardz can help you with your business. And if you're looking for a solution through an MSP, try the different ways that we talked about here. and connect with Guardz and Sarah and William as well. So thank you both, and thanks everybody for listening and watching this brand story here on ITSP Magazine from Guardz. Hopefully many more, maybe cyber insurance. I know there's an announcement that crossed my feed this morning today as well. Who knows, maybe we'll have a chance to talk with that person in the new role. But a lot of cool things coming from Guardz, and I encourage everybody to connect with the team there. So thanks everybody for listening, watching. Thanks, Sarah and William.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it.